Let's start this session of the Icelandic delegation. We are having various speakers. There has been some good relationship between Russia and Iceland for the past years and decades. That has even increased, and we are interested in mutual beneficial relationship between two countries, both on cultural and also on industrial level. There is a good interest by Icelandic companies that can have a meaningful input into the development of the Russian fishing industry. And we have multiple companies that have been involved in project that is ongoing in the development and the movement of the Russian fishing industry. So we have a good panel of speakers. I want to apologize on the behalf of Mr. Piotr Savchuk. He was supposed to be here as a speaker, but instead we are happy to welcome a speaker on the behalf of Ross Ribelovsto. And I would like to introduce Victor Rosnev. So please, Victor, find your place in the panel. We have our distinguished Minister of Fisheries, Mr. Kristján Þór Júlíusson. Kristján Þór has been leading the fishery ministry in Iceland on multiple occasions. Not only has he an experience in leading the ministry, Kristján Þór is educated a captain, I believe, with a good experience from the ocean, and also, like every other people that actually is in Iceland, if you're not directly related to it, it's just one corner around, then you're related to fishing business or seafood industry. We have our distinguished ambassador, Mr. Árni Þór Sigfússon, who has proven to be a great input into our relationship here in Russia. Árni Þór is not for the first time in Russia. Árni Þór speaks fluent Russian and studied here in his early days, so now he's coming back home to Russia, so to speak. But Árni Þór we have a good relationship with our ambassador, and regular interface with the embassy through our delightful Ilona, who has been kind of like organizing this event. We will have companies representing various Icelandic businesses here in Russia, and I will start with my good friend, Mr. Alexei Tobolev, who is, in fact, close to me because he's representing our company Nautic Rus, which is doing business, but anyway, Nautic Rus is a Russian company, but still has good ties to Iceland. Alexei Tobolev is a native of Murmansk, so he has been close to fishing industry since early days. I would like to introduce to the panel Guðmundur Sigþórsson of DTEC. DTEC could be a good interest topic into the pandemic because they have a certain solutions related to stabilizing production environment, taking care of all kinds of things that you might not want to have in your product. So I am looking forward to hear what Guðmundur Sigþórsson has to say. I will represent also and introduce to the panel Alexander Shishkin, representing company Marel. Marel is a big favorite of Iceland. You could say it's the second child of Iceland. We have another child company of Iceland I don't even bother to mention, but Marel has been on the leading edge in the fishing industry for many years, spawned out of the environment of the university. I think although they diverted to a more lucrative business for a period of time, but have then made a serious return and entrance and efforts into the fishing sector again. Then I will introduce a good friend of mine to the panel, which is Freyr Friðriksson of CAP. Please stand up, Freyr. Freyr is representing his own company, CAP. CAP is a company that is engaged in liquid ice and freezing and representing basically how you can chill down your catch during processing and to keep it in good quality. Then I would like to introduce also to the panel a good friend of mine, Sævaldur Jens Gunnarsson from Cyplast. Cyplast has, well, let's put it this way, it's another favorite of Iceland. They have kind of made containers that revolutionized our industry in order to kind of facilitate transportation and storage of our products if we are operating on fresh fish. I think it's kind of a token that Sævaldur and Freyr are sitting together, because Freyr is actually having the outfitting and the liquids and the cooling media to put into the tubs that Sævaldur might provide. I think we have an opportunity of having a good panel discussion, and I want to kind of like open up the session. We will have some questionings and question panels. I was listening to the planetary session here earlier. There was some good discussion points. We will have later on discussions about the successfulness of the Icelandic-Russian business cooperation in the sea-tech field. There is a transition of the Russian fishing sector from raw material supplier into more increased value-added production, which is important for Russia. And I think Russia has a great opportunity in order to do more value-added production. I think the pandemic has showed us that not only from a business standpoint, but it will be critical, and I think even business critical for Russia to engage in more value-added production. And the good thing about value-added production is that yes, you need to consider the labor input into it, but most important is that when you go into a high volume automation, high volume value-added production, automation is a key. But the thing is with automation is that yes, you need to have service level inside the country. I think there's a great opportunity for companies that we have spawned out of Icelandic business, which we call it the blue economy, that has spawned out of the kind of innovative approaches in Iceland, where we try to make more value added and basically try to make a value out of every single piece of the limited resources we have. This will happen in Russia in time. Russia is in a little bit of a luxury situation where you have vast resources, I was even joking the other day that when I introduced my minister to a certain person here in Russia, that you guys are basically operating with the same amount of quotas. This is a single company, but you're representing a whole country. So this is just to show the scale of the situation and the possibilities in Russia and what is in the future of Russia. But the thing is with automation is that, yes, you need to have a service level. I think we will have some input here down the road with maybe how service can fail and what it is critically important not only to sell, but you have to be in Russia. Localization is a key. I have on my own person experience in this field. I had an opportunity, we jumped both feet into Russia, which was a big benefit and big lifetime experience for myself. I decided, since I had the trust of a very valuable customer of ours that was interested in our project, I said, like, okay, you cannot just come only into Russia and dine and then dash. You have to share, you have to involve, you have to engage. So basically, we have taken the opportunity of such a trust by a very reputable company, and we basically pour the proceeds of such a project into developing the technology and the competences inside Russia. Unfortunately, some of my colleagues have not seen this, how important it is, but maybe they will open up their eyes. We have the issue of sustainability in fishing stocks, which is a great impact. I know that there are probably big meetings. I think that's part of the reason why Shevchuk is not here, because all the big tops are here and they're having meetings between others in terms of deciding, you know, what passport is this fish having that is swimming between Russian waters, Norwegian waters, and maybe occasionally coming into Icelandic water. But anyway, I will leave that up to the politicians. I'm a simple businessman and a naval architect, so that is probably out of my league and probably also out of my area of interest. So I will open up for some discussions, and I would like to introduce to the panel then Victor, to speak on behalf of Rosribalovstova, if I say this correctly. So thank you for this opportunity and thank you for listening in. And hopefully we can have some valuable input also from the floor later on. Thank you.
Distinguished Minister, distinguished Ambassador, dear colleagues, I'm happy to see you all here at the Fishery Forum. In my intervention, I would like to touch upon several matters pertaining to cooperation between Russia and Iceland in terms of management and oversight of fishing. I'm happy to note that for over 20 years now, we have been building ties between organizations and enterprises in the fishing industry, both between Russia and Iceland on a bilateral basis and in the framework of international organizations. We attach great importance to the cooperation between Russia and Iceland in the area of fishery, based on an agreement between the governments of Russia and Iceland on cooperation in the area of fishery, dated 3rd of April 2003. And an agreement between the government of the Russian Federation and the Republic of Iceland and the Kingdom of Norway on certain aspects of cooperation, fisheries, dated 15th of 15th of May 2009. Practical activities between Russia and Iceland is carried out in the framework of a bilateral commission on fishery, and I'm happy to note that the 21st Commission meeting in February this year, which was held remotely because of the limitations of COVID, we have highlighted the intent of both parties to develop a cooperation based on the above agreements. I'm sure that each of us is interested in maintaining and developing our cooperation in fishing and marine research as part of the Commission's activities. Another area of our cooperation is also very important, and it is the engagement in investment projects to build fishing enterprises in the far east of Russia and in Murmansk region, using cutting-edge technologies for storage, freezing, wild salmon, squids, and to build modern fishing vessels. Icelandic companies, Skagindrieks, Frost, and Referee, and others have helped us to complete the construction of a fish processing plant in the Shatakan Island, and also two high-tech enterprises to process fish in Murmansk of 40 and 55 tons per day capacity. Ambassador took part in the opening ceremony at one of the plants. We are in the process of construction of another fish processing factory in Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky, and construction of 10 new trawlers, processors in St. Petersburg, designed by an Icelandic company, Nauticruise. Let me once again welcome you to this forum. I am sure that our colleagues will be more specific in their respective interventions on the cooperation between Russia and Iceland. So, wishing you all the success. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the kind words. And now I would like to have Christian Thor Juliusson to speak a little bit. And yes, I like the approach that you stand up and speak. It's always good.
Thank you, ministers. No, I'm the only one, right?
You're the only minister, yes.
Mr. Juliusson, nice to see you here. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, it's my great pleasure to have the opportunity to attend the 4th Global Fishery Forum and Seafood Expo Russia here in St. Petersburg. And as Victor said, Iceland and Russia have long been engaged in various activities in seafood sector through trade, cooperation, in fisheries, and more recently through the active participation of Icelandic companies in the development of fishing and processing sector in Russia. The value of the seafood sector in Iceland is well known, and the Icelandic seafood sector has demonstrated its importance not only for individual fishing communities in Iceland, but also for society in Iceland as a whole. Collaboration between the fishing and processing companies and Icelandic technology and knowledge-based companies has created the conditions for the Icelandic seafood sector enhance its competitive advantage and continuously increase value. This collaboration between the seafood sector in Iceland and the companies has now extended beyond the borders as increasing number of Icelandic companies are engaged in business activities in Russia and thereby contributing to the enhancement of the competitiveness of the seafood sector in both countries. The 4th Global Fishery Forum and Seafood Expo Russia is therefore an ideal venue for the Icelandic seafood sector and the technology and knowledge companies to present and demonstrate the importance of this type of collaboration. By nurturing the strength of the Icelandic fishery sector, the utilization of fish stocks, the fisheries management system, and the strong collaboration of the seafood sector, technology and knowledge-based companies, the value from the seafood sector and related industries will continue to grow over the next decade. The 4th Global Fishery Forum and Seafood Expo Russia is an important forum for companies to connect and to seek out new solutions so that it will be possible for the seafood sector to seize the opportunities that arise, both in new markets, to enhance the value creation in the industry, not only by the Icelandic companies, but also by their Russian counterparts. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Minister, for these words. I would like to introduce to the panel or to the speech our distinguished ambassador, Árni Þór. So please, Árni, I would suspect that you take this in Russian, or?
Well, our moderator told that I was fluent in Russian. It's not actually so, but I decided to give it a try. Dear friends, distinguished guests, Your Excellency, I am happy to see all of you here at this Icelandic session that was specifically organized during the International Fisheries Forum, Seafood Expo, here in St. Petersburg. Particularly, I would like to welcome the Minister of Fishery and Agriculture of Iceland and the head of the Federal of the Directorate in the Federal Agency of Fishing, Viktor Rozhnov. It's a great honor to have you at this session. I would also like to thank the representatives of Icelandic companies who are present here today. My special thanks go to Alfred Tulinas, who is moderating the session, and Ilona Vasilyeva, the trade representative of the Embassy of Iceland here in Russia, for doing everything possible to make this happen and make it happen successfully. I'm sure that Business Island provided lots of help, and I'm thankful to it. Russia and Iceland have a long history of successful economic and trade relations that have been building back in the times of the World War II. We had our ups and downs. We had during the long history, and we all know that in the past few years there was a setback in our traditional areas of trade. However, we have been able to overcome the difficulties of this changing business environment, and what we see today is a part of the new innovative approach to the development of trade between our two countries. A few years ago, the government of Russia launched a full-fledged program aimed at the modernization of the fishing industry in the country. From the very beginning of this program, Icelandic technologies, know-how, experience, and expertise have been in high demand, both as products and as services. I'm sure that the demand for them will only grow in years. It has also become an impetus for all of us who work at the Icelandic embassy in Russia to demonstrate that the products of Icelandic companies is in demand and that the trade relations exist and achieve new heights on the way to strengthening our cooperation between Russia and Iceland. Thank you for your attention.
Just a quick word from my side before we go into introducing, that the companies will introduce themselves, because I think it's been underestimated what Árni Þór was actually touching on. And he made me think of an element from my hometown on the north coast of Iceland. I was visiting the town, and I, by an accident, not by an accident, but like my wife dragged me into this museum of industry in Iceland. Quite small one, but like quite interesting one, because I basically had a day's or like a high trip of nostalgia in there. Coming from this town, we were producing in the old days canned seafood, and I was even reading some of the cans with description in Russian language. Including that, we were having quite a vast industry related to sheepskin, and I think most of it, our fur coats and whatever related to that, was actually marketed to Russia. Instead, you bought our herring, which is famous. Instead, we got our oil from Russia, and I think during my lifetime, at least I've gone through 2, if not 3 ladas. I upgraded at the end and got to a Lada Sport, which was one of my favorite cars for a period of time. So yes, the relationship between Iceland and Russia is valuable and something that we need to cherish. And now I would like to have the companies to introduce what they have to present. And I will start with my colleague and devoted friend, Alexei Tobolev, to speak not about me, but our joint experience. Thank you.
Hello, good day. I'm highly privileged to give my speech at this event, and I'm more than happy to see you in this hall. My today's topic is the live process of the knowledge exchange. When in Russia a program of renewal of the fishery fleet has started, all parties that were involved in this process, they understood that we need to create competences of the shipbuilding in the Russian Federation. And if we take the historical perspective, we see that the experience of shipbuilding of big vessels didn't exist. Big ship vessels were built in Ukraine, in the GDR, or they were imported from the countries of the Western Bloc. So when this program was announced, everyone understood that we need to set up those competences inside the Russian Federation. And here we face the choice. Either we need to renew all the decisions, either we attract some new experience that we can use. In Nautic Cruise, in our company, there was a suggestion to introduce Icelandic experience. And what's the difference in here? Is it speaks about the exploration of limited marine resources, the processing in sea, orientation on the high quality of the process, the orientation to the client. When the client receives a product that is desirable in the timeline that he wants to see or to meet. Moreover, we are studying the new trends that occur in Iceland. This is the integration of the active fishery and the deep processing onshore. From my part, we consider that Nautic is an example of successful cooperation in the field of design of fishing vessels. And when Alfred introduced me, he said that I'm from Murmansk and I'm not an engineer. I have an economic degree, but I was related to the fishery sector during my life. And I had a great experience when I started to work in Nautic Cruise to see this technological transfer. And I would say that during 3 years of our company life cycle, we could set up a very efficient process of work in between Russian, Icelandic, and some Chile engineers. Sustainability vessel engineer is from Chile, and this team is very efficient in this field. When our Icelandic partners came to Russia, the major focus was put on the young generation of engineers, of Russian engineers. And we saw young, well-educated people with their heart burning and eyes burning, and they were very eager to be educated, to learn something. But there were some challenges, nevertheless. When we speak about the educational system in the Russian Federation, there is a specialization system, so-called, when we teach a person to become a specialist in one field and not to have, out-of-the-box understanding, and there is no understanding of what's near. And we found this approach wrong, speaking about the design of shipping vessels. This was a great challenge at the very start, at the very beginning. How to take a person out of the box when he is prepared to work in some borders or limits. And I can state that we managed to do this. We succeeded. Our engineers, and we have more than 55 young Russian engineers, they are eager to learn something new. They collaborate with our Icelandic, Chilean partners and colleagues from other countries. They take new approaches and knowledge. As a result, we see the growth in the efficiency of work and the exchange of documents. We integrate new design methods in 3D models. Moreover, we do our utmost in order to be integrated in the Verfe systems, the shipyards systems. I see a representative here. Hello. And these things are of utmost importance in order to set up and improve communication between people from different countries. It would say that to understand language is not sufficient. You need to build up understanding in between people, the mutual understanding. And while building this mutual understanding, we found out that we should do it inside the organization and outside. Sometimes inside one organization, people are not communicating. They do not exchange the information. They don't share their knowledge. As of today, I see that in Nautic Cruise, we have managed to work as a one team. And it led us to the fact that we have become a company to have a positive experience of the direct communication with our foreign partners. Even when we work with a company that have a representative in Russia, very often they have only commercial function. And to resolve some technical issues, it becomes difficult. And we have met those situations plenty of times. And today, I am happy to state that our dialogue with foreign partners, unfortunately, a big part of the fishery, fish processing plants and equipment is imported from abroad, and this is our reality as it is for today. Our specialists from Nautic Cruise are successfully communicated with Iceland partners, and I'd like to speak about Frost Company here, Nost Marine, from Iceland and Spain, and with our Norwegian partners from Denmark, from Harslev, and this lets Nautic Cruise to become a unique hub of knowledge, to unite people inside this hub and to become a focal point of knowledge. And now I'd like to speak about the future. You see this wonderful slide. Many of those vessels are in the process of building, and soon we will start other ones. Some are considered to be perspective projects, but I think that sooner we will start to realize them and to build them. But what I'd like to say, the fishery industry is one of the basic sectors, and it will be with us. We know that all of us, we will need food, and fish products will be necessary to us, and fishery industry will develop and should be adapted to those trends that will happen in the world. To my mind, as a native Murmansk person, I think that we should support local communities to build the local infrastructure and to integrate the fishing, the processing on shore, the local warehouses, delivery and logistics, and trading of fish. So I guess these are big issues that should be resolved by Mr. Rozhnov and others. Moreover, one of the major points that I'd like to state, Mr. Ambassador has mentioned about the future growth of cooperation between Russia and Iceland. And what I would like to say that the main factor, the main stimulus for that growth is the localization of Icelandic partners inside the Russian Federation. I think Nautic Cruise is one of the successful examples of localization in Russia with our Icelandic partners, and this is about engineering. But I think that we'd like to see more projects on the localization that would be related with manufacturing. I'm sure that in Russia we have all necessary competences for building of fish and processing equipment inside Russia. We have competences to produce the freezing equipment. Sure, we need experience and we need knowledge, but there are those directions where we can work all together. And in the future, we would need to improve the use of marine resources in order to create a win-win product. As Alfred has said, let's take small Iceland with a limited resources base, but this country knows how to get the most of it. Even those products who were considered to be sub-products or waste, leather, ferrine and others, they become the basic products, and they are of the biggest added value. They are used in the cosmetics, in the pharma, in the medicine. And our world is not so big, so I guess in the future we will face the problem, we will feel that our fishing resources are limited for all. And it would be very beneficial in this case to take experience of Iceland and to scale it up. Firstly, on the territory of the Russian Federation, to use to the maximum level those resources that we have. Thank you. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Alexei. And I think, Mother Russia, that you exist, because otherwise I would have gone mad, I think. I would like to introduce Guðmundur Sigþórsson from DTEC. I'm looking forward to hear what you have to say, Guðmundur, about your lovely mist project.
Hello, do you hear me? My name is Guðmundur Sigþórsson. You can call me Gummi. I represent Icelandic company which has been developing and selling automatic disinfectant solutions for over 15 years. The company was established by Ragnar Ólafsson, which used to be captain and operator of trawler fleet in Iceland for over 3 decades. I have never been to sea myself, but my grandfather did. He went ashore in a very small wooden boat to catch fish to eat. So it's good to be back in Russia, and this is what I want to share with you. 28 million people fall ill due to foodborne diseases every year, according to the World Food Organization, and tens of thousands of people die. Inside food, you can have up to 200 bacteria. Most well-known of them are, of course, Listeria, Salmonella, E. coli, etc. But this is a huge problem which needs to be resolved. We have been developing our system now for, like I said, over 15 years. It comes in various sizes and can be tailor-made from, like say, processing deck in a trawler and for the hold also in the trawler, and 2, 3, 4, 5,000 square meter factories, tailor-made at each location. The reason for having many different channels is that companies usually need to disinfect different locations, different rooms at different times. So that's why we adopt this flexibility. The system consists of a control box, and then we mount plastic tubes on the ceiling, and we mount on those plastic tubes clusters which explode the liquid, the disinfectant and water liquid, into very dense fog. And the droplets are less than 10 micron. So it's very, very small, and it's like a dry fog. Nevertheless, you need to wash the surface and the equipment which is being disinfected before you do this. But the reason behind the effectiveness of this is because our fog penetrates everywhere that air can go, most hidden places, and furthermore, when you disinfect manually, you disinfect up to eye level usually, but this is mounted to the ceiling, and the disinfection process reaches the whole area, inside machines and complicated environment. We have 100% reduction of salary cost. The system is totally automatic and can be started by itself during the night, for example. We save up to 90% water and 70 to 80% disinfectant chemical. And the payback time is usually approximately 1 year. I take one example here, how we fight listeria. We have a special chemical which can identify where the chemical infection is in a given factory, because if the bacteria has had time to spread, it's almost impossible to find the source for it. But we can do that, and we have, for a number of occasions, we have done this quite successfully. Our last development is so-called Minimatch version. This is a small version of our system, which can be mounted on water cutting machines like FlexiCut or inside Spiro freezers, etc., where it's very hard to get inside to disinfect. And we have proven this solution in quite many places, and it's working perfectly. This is a very environmentally friendly solution, since it's saving a lot of water and chemicals and time. We have a number of references from our valued customers, and we have, of course, a lot of tests also to verify our product and its workability and how we can deal with bacteria. We have a number of big companies as our clients, Samherji in Iceland, the biggest one in the fishing industry, but we have also a lot of companies abroad like Royal Greenland. I cannot remember what other name I was going to mention for you, but that doesn't matter. The food which is produced today, 35% of it gets wasted, either after or during process or on its way to the customer. So this is what we need to change, and DTEC is ready to limit this quantity of waste, and we like to share with you, our dear Russian friends, this solution, and hope that we can talk about it sometime. Thank you.
Before you go, Guðmundur, I want to keep you there, if you can stay, because I know that there's a success story that you could tell about your mysterious project, because I know there was a company in Iceland that was suffering some listerial issues, and finally they came in approach with you, and actually you solved an issue that they've been dealing with for a considerable time. I think this is a success story that you should actually share with the audience, because if they are dealing with listeria, I think it's useful to listen to what you might have to say on this.
Yes. He is referring to Arnarlax, which is a salmon processor in Iceland, the biggest one in Iceland. They have been fighting listeria for a number of years, ever since they started operation, I think, for up to 5 years, and been trying all kinds of solutions. And well, in the end, they decided to buy a system from us, and we solved their problem in 2-3 weeks. And they are quite happy today. Same as applies to Greek seafood in Norway, in Alta. They had a very serious problem in their processing line, and they had been downgraded by their buyer. we installed a system at the factory, and we had found the source of the problem within 1 month, and within 2 months they got upgraded again. So they got the highest price for the product, different from what they had before. So in that case, the system paid itself in 2 weeks, I think, 1 or 2 weeks.
Okay, thanks. I just I knew about these 2 cases, so I wanted to make sure that you mentioned them because they are relevant to the industry that is actually dealing with those issues.
Thank you very much.
So, thank you for saving the quality of our food and try to save ourselves from listeria. It's important. I will now invite Alexander Shishkin and Marel to present whatever they might want to introduce here. So I'm looking forward to listening to this favorite child of Iceland, what product you might have and whatever conquering you're doing now. So please.
Thank you.
Good day, dear colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alexander Shishkin, and I represent Marvel. Marvel, for today, is a global company, operates with 7,000 employees. The turnover of the company was more than 1 billion euro, with a net revenue of 13%. The headquarters is located in Iceland. Marel provides technologies for protein processing into the food. Marel is a strategic partner for customers who have raw materials and have an idea of the final product. So we are a bridge in between the raw material and the finished product. As of today, Marel is a big international company, but we have started from a small startup when young students in Iceland in 1980s wanted to weigh what they caught on board the ship, on board the vessel. Then they registered Marel company, and thanks to their internal technologies, together with other experience in technologies, they have turned in what we have today. Marel works in Russia from the beginning, and Russia is taken as a strategic partner. In 2005, Marel has registered the society Marel Food Systems, with 60 people who work inside, in sales, service, warehouse, and components. And from 2020, we decided to expand into the regions to become closer, to open departments in the Far East. This is Vladivostok, Belgorod, Kursk, also other regions, where we are represented by departments and engineering department, and also by the spare parts warehouse in order to provide service. Our major focus in the fish processing is divided into 2 major segments. This is processing of the wild fish, salmons and white species, and also sea bass, dorada, tilapia, and aquacultural salmon and trout. And we provide solutions for onshore processing and for on-sea processing. One of the major fields of our work is that Marel provide technologies for the full cycle. This is processing of the raw material, reception, sorting, filleting sector, so-called wet area, then portioning and filleting, and also the deep processing sector. When we create from semi-finished product a finished good, like nuggets, with a high level of preparation, and thus they are delivered to the customer. Marel provides standalone equipment, and also we provide the holistic decisions for plants for onshore and also on board of the vessel. Our product takes a wide range of spheres. This is a high-level filleting. This is slicers, portioners, the X-rays, automated robot handler, a robot detector of bones with the use of water. And it is covered with the Innova technology solution. It lets you see where your raw material is located, what's the coefficient, what's the ratio, how it is treated. The software of Innova gives you an opportunity to see efficiency and effectiveness. What's the ratio that you produce and how you control it, and to control each operator on the plant. As Albert Einstein has said, logic can lead you from A to B point, but imagination can lead you anywhere. And Marel as well invests in the innovations more than other companies, about 6% of our every year. And thanks to those investments, to producibility and processing for 1 person an hour, it has grown to the level of 7.5%. Right now, the population of the Earth is more than 7 billion people, and this figure changes. By 2015, we expect the population to be around 10 billion people. And certainly, there is a question that arises whether there would be enough food. And our ambitious goal is to produce food of a good quality and that it would be in abundance and sufficiency. So let's go to the next level of the processing. And finally, I'd like to address myself to the producers of fish, to the processors. If you have fish and you'd like to get the most of it, the added value, please come to Marel and we can create successful enterprises together. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Alexander. I think we have all had great admiration for Marel and how it's been spawned out of the university community into a big worldwide industry market leader. And it's good to see that you guys are still going strong, and I look forward to see where you will take us in the next year and the decades. So thank you for this. Now I will introduce a friend of mine. Well, basically they're all friends of mine. It's a small community. So Freyr Fredriksson, Mr. Cool, come and tell us how you would like to chill the product so we don't have any kind of degradation of the quality of the foods.
Minister and Ambassador and your colleagues, thank you for inviting me today. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about our products. CAP is a company that is mainly focusing on improving the products and the quality, and it all started many years ago. This is the green part. And our main focus is, as I said before, improving fish products quality. Our main customers are one of the largest companies in Iceland, ranging from transport, food industry, fish processing, warehouses, operation to grocery store, and our CAP's customers, along with many smaller companies. These are just a snapshot for the highlights of 2020. We are 44 employees, and our sales network overseas is located here in Russia, USA, and Mexico, Norway, and France. We have been super chilling fish since 1999, and we say where the cool chain never breaks, from catch, from unloading of the fish, in transport, and within the customer. what we are doing on board, we are making ice, slurry ice, which is pumpable on board the vessels into a tubs like Sævaldur will introduce to us here later on. And then we are, as you can see on this graph here, there is a difference between the flaked ice and the pumpable ice. With the slurry ice, there is a longer shelf life than the flake ice, and we are looking at least 14 days when it comes to that. Here is our newest development that we have been working on now for almost 3 years, but started selling in November last year, which is for the land-based factories that we started working with regarding this project, like I said, 3 years ago. But this is where we are aiming on keeping the freshness and the amount of coolant in the fish through the whole process. So as you can see in the top, the temperature is minus 0.7, and where it starts, and then it goes through this pre-cooler system, goes through the heading, filleting, and a skin peeling, and you can see that the temperature is rising while it goes through that process. And then we are pre-cooling the water inside the factory, so that when it comes through the end of the filleting line and when it goes into cleaning and the bone cleaning and so on, the temperature is as similar as when it came into the factory, the production. And this is also saving a lot of energy and freezing time if you are freezing your product. So this is just a graph here with the filleting machine, where the tubs comes in, and the fish fillet machine, and the trimming line, and then the speeder freezer. And the core temperature of the catch after filling is around 0 Celsius, as you can see. And this we have been selling with a good success in Iceland now since November last year. Here you can see the temperature of the raw material after the whole process. The fish enters the process at -7, and when leaving the fish factory, the fish has a temperature of 0.1. This is just a picture of our product, pre-coolers liquid machine, which we offer in all kinds of sizes. Depends on the demand of the customer, what the need is for the customer. And also we have this storage tank. But as I did not maybe perhaps mentioned when I started, this is all about the cooperation with the companies that are producing and fishing and getting the caught inside. We are doing the measurements with them. We are taking the sea temperature. We're taking the amount of catch, so we can calculate with them what their need is. And then in some cases where the customer don't have the salinity, we have to have a salinity to make the ice, for example. There we have made containers where they have salt brine systems, for example in the States where they are catching salmon for 4 months a year. We just bring in a container and they cool down the salmon as fast as possible, for example in the Columbia River in the States and so on. So there are many opportunities. So this is what I have to say, and again, thank you very much for inviting me, and if any questions, I am here and also on my booth here inside the hall. Have a good day.
Thank you, Freyr. I always kind of envied you that you can have a full job of just being Mr. Cool in the business. We cannot match up with that coolness. A company that I'd like to introduce next, and a dear friend of mine, Sævaldur, will talk about Sæplast. Sæplast, actually, while Sævaldur is walking up here and preparing for his speak, I think Sæplast basically revolutionized the way we treat our product. I remember myself when I started at age 15 on a trawler. We were shoveling ice and we were carrying boxes of 25 kilos. What Sæplast did is that they revolutionized this and gave us an opportunity to have a much better handling for our fresh catches. But anyway, I'm not going to take the floor away from you, Sævaldur, because I know you're quite capable of doing it yourself. But anyway.
Good day to all. I'm a little bit surprised that Freyr is Mr. Cool and I'm not Mr. Box.
It comes after your speech.
Okay. Mr. Viktor Rosnaf, Kristján Júlíusson, Árni Sigurðsson, Túrenius, dear guests. My name is Sævaldur Gunnarsson and I want to introduce my company Sæplast to you. Did I speed it too much forward? Sæplast is founded. Yes, there too. Sæplast is founded in a small coastal village of Dalvík, as I am, in the north of Iceland. We are made by the fishing industry and we are true to our roots. We make quality tubs of plastics with rotomolding technology. Sorry, I am a little bit handicapped. Our products have been appreciated by demanding customers locally for 36 years and now for about 30 years globally too. We have sold our products to over 100 countries worldwide. In Russia, we are cooperating with the company Moretron to connect as closely as we can to our good customers. We honor the Icelandic translation of the word customer, which in Icelandic is viðskiptavinur, translated again to business friend. As simple as that. We like to do that. Oh, sorry, there was. Being true to our roots, we are also focused in our daily work on our mottos: safety, quality, and performance. Quality is a term that is complicated, but yet so simple. To be successful and efficient, quality has to be the core of every business. All the same applies to production of seafood. If you want to do it well, the catch landed has to be of premium quality. You can never turn back the clock on a bad fish. On its way to the dish of the consumer, it is a constant battle with shelf life. You have to have time to land, process, transport, and sell the fish while it's still in a prestige condition and has a value to the buyer. This is the work of our customers, and the role of our tubs is to secure that. In our work, we have to bear all this in mind. We have to follow up on what challenges our customers are facing and offer them the tools to work on their projects. Only by that we can be successful. We are also considering the challenges faced by the world. We have to put our weight into several mutual future goals. We are producing from plastics. We have to be careful and do our best. And now I have few pictures of our products in use. Here you can see Cyprus tubs used landing sardines in Portugal, landing cod in my hometown Dalvik, landing tuna in Spain, a robot handling the tubs in our modern fishing facilities, ice being topped up before export. And here you see on board the vessel Björgúlfur from my hometown Dalvik, a system of landing. And here you can see, since I mentioned Björgúlfur, this is the old one. In 1978, I have to keep it on. In 1978, my father, a fisherman all his life, personal life, was in the crew. Then, 11 years old, I was allowed to go for a week's fishing trip during my summer break at school. In that crew was also Mr. Kristján Júlíusson, who taught me how to gut a fish during that trip. Now, as I told you, we sell to many industries throughout our industry. Though our expertise is in the fish, we sell to many other industries that appreciate good quality tubs. Still, far more than 50% is fish related in our business. And now, as I told you, we sell to many. Sorry, I need to practice more. And as I said earlier, we sell to many countries, although the focus in our strongest markets, and 8 countries add up to 75% of what we sell. Russia being very important market to us. It was in 3rd place last year. For all those many years, we have been fortunate enough to work with some demanding customers who really put their focus on quality. By cooperating with those customers, we have been able to take ourselves to the future. For more information, stop by our stand at the exhibition. It's number E3. Thank you.
Thank you, Sævaldur. Of course you're cool, but we just wanted to keep you in your box. It's a critical element, and I know that the whole kind of setup of automation of the industry has kind of like spawned around your tub system, and it's just one of those integral parts that actually make up the industry process flows. But anyway, thank you all the speakers for your presentations, and I want to invite the floor for any questions to any one of us, so feel free. I don't know if there is a what do you call it, a microphone that is fluctuating around or not, so feel free.
Mr. Alfred, I would like to be part of your friends too, who is speaking on that meeting. Mr. Minister and Mr. Embassy, thank you. I would like to speak Icelandic, same as you on Russian, but not. And I will speak my native language. It will be more easy and more quick.
Vladimir Zagarovsky, holding Narema. My company is called Полярное море, Polar Sea. I'm the CEO of the company, and I asked specifically to come to this expo. And I was planning to say a few words, to ask a few questions, if I may. We have been working a lot with companies from Iceland, and many of those who are present here in the room are not just my partners, they are my friends. Some of the people in this room, I believe, have left part of their heart in our factory. I'm grateful to Cyplast, Marel, the companies who helped us start our business and rocket started. There are now many companies who are willing to work with us. It's always great to work with successful companies, but as you are starting from scratch, it's not so easy to get the trust of such reputable companies. I'm sorry not to see Skagen here on the panel because it's one of the main suppliers of equipment. And the company is not feeling well, and I'm worried about our future cooperation with Skagen. This is probably an issue of globalization. My second question that worries me a lot is education. It's not so easy to attract young people to plants and factories. We can do it. They are people who want to get professional development, who want to get educated, and people who can help this situation with a simple phone call. We are ready to provide a platform for such young people, and we would like Icelandic companies to share more information for a more sustainable future. Probably times of pandemic are not the best time to meet and to engage, but we could start some exchange of emails or video conferences in order to help us get educated and use the modern cutting-edge equipment that we're using now. Thank you.
Well, Vladimir, I think we are already friends, and we can continue to stay so. But I agree with you that there is, it's a big question why Skagen is not representing themselves here. And I know you've had some issues and would like to, but you know, when we have created and when we have this close-knit community in Iceland, we communicate very freely between each other. And one of the things that I've tried to address with my people is that, my friends, is that the necessity to localize is critical, and it should not be kind of treated just like I need to keep the knowledge to myself because I need to sell more. You need to embrace the words like Sævaldur said in the phrase of viðskiptavinur, which means business friend. It has to be a friendly environment. You have to share the worries and the issues that the customer has, and you have to be part of that family. And be sure that I will communicate to my friends in Skagen that they were greatly missed, and it kind of represents the lack of engagement, and also to be able to service people. And we will continue to be friends, hopefully. So anyway, if there's anybody else that need to answer anything, I'm not sure. I didn't catch all the points, but hopefully I answered some of them. Any more questions or any more comments? Because I think this should be a freely dialogue on basically everything that might be discussed in this.
Your Excellencies, Mr. Juliusson, Mr. Sigurdsson, all participants, I welcome you here in St. Petersburg in this Global Fishery Forum Seafood Expo Russia, and of course on this panel discussion. And a few words about the item which Alexei Tobolev was saying about the localization of the production facilities here in Russia. If you don't mind, I'll also continue in Russian.
I'm not just a consul of Norway, but I know of the cutting-edge technologies that is characteristic of Icelandic companies. I also represent industry in some way because I'm the chair of the board of a company who manufactures fish. And I also work closely with the Chamber of Commerce of the Russian Federation. So I can say for sure that if there are companies who want to develop their production here in Russia, which gives you certain benefits in terms of pricing policy, because you don't need to pay the duties, the VAT. It is possible to use the government policy to use domestically produced equipment on vessels. So if you are interested to build production here in Russia, you can talk to me. I am always happy to help you find partners here in Russia.
Thank you, Boris. Boris, you're a big fan and friend of Iceland, being the honorary consul, and I know for myself when I started Nautic Rus, you were quite helpful, and I seriously appreciate that effort that you made when we wanted to pave our road into Russia. But I think it's also important for the Icelandic companies that are trying to do business in Russia to recognize the pride and the dedicated effort by the Russian Federation in order to be more self-sustained. I'm not going to go into political minefields of sanctions and whatever kind of bullshit there might be found around that, but let's put it this way. The possibilities in Russia are endless. The Federation has actually moved quite directly and pronounced that the ingredients into the business, for example, building a vessel, you need to reach a certain level of percentage of Russian product, and that doesn't mean that it has to be invented in Russia. I think it's almost an invitation to whomever thinks he can actually do a proper business practice to come into Russia. Share your knowledge, share your production ideas, and actually establish something in Russia that can actually be here for oncoming future. I think this is just a growth opportunity. Any more questions from the floor or? Okay, if there are no more questions, I will thank all the participants here. Thank you for listening in. I hope it has been meaningful. And if there is anything, obviously you go to each one of the persons that you might want to get information. But thank you for your time, and thank you, Ilona. Thank you, Ambassador, Minister, Victor. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Spasiba.